Hey guys, it's Cho and I'm back with another video. So the other day I felt like I was in the mood to torture myself by looking at Reddit. So I was on Reddit and I found this post about Good Molecules. Now, Good Molecules, for those that don't know, is a skincare brand that prides themselves and they emphasize ingredient transparency and affordable pricing for their consumers. Now I know they were recently in this huge controversy that Lab Beauty Muffin exposed concerning some sunscreen. I think that was a mineral sunscreen that was actually allegedly a chemical sunscreen with some chemical filters. That's not what this video is about. Maybe another video. However, the Reddit post was about Good Molecules' intention to not raise their prices at all for the year of 2023. Now, for those that have not been completely snowed by the mainstream media, you will know already that the US has been in and out of a recession and that we have had a historic 40-year high of inflation, teetering around about 9%. I think I should have some stats here. I know that you've noticed before 2020, gas prices were cheaper, eggs were cheaper, general groceries were cheaper, but that is not the case anymore. People are, struggling very, very hard to maintain and keep up with these prices. I have worked in the business sector for quite a while now.
Maybe if you had a business that you were passionate about, then you would know what it takes to run a business, but you don't. So don't even act like you know what I'm talking about.
And I can tell you firsthand that a lot of industries across the board has seen sharp increases in prices of products. We've seen a lack of materials and a host of other issues, including labor. There's no labor anywhere anymore. I can make this video a huge rant about COVID and how we mishandled it and how people were super delusional about the science. And I don't want to make this a political rant. It is what it is. So let's just get right into Good Molecules' posts about this topic. I'm going to be reading some of their comments, and I'm going to be giving my commentary throughout the video. So let's get right into it. We're reading together. They start off by saying, does anyone ever lower prices after raising them? Not really. And when I think about it, they're totally right. I mean, people never lower the prices after raising them. They don't revert back to cheaper prices after increasing them, even if the supposed price increase is due to a temporary cause. So they're right there. They've got me hooked. They continue on by saying, this time of year, it's common to see brands raise their prices. And where does it go? Things like expensive offices, advertising, and influencer trips. Wall Street and private equity firms also love higher profits. The extra markup always gets spent. That's why it's easier to raise prices than lower them. Bang, 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 bang. Shots fired. I think we can all vouch for the fact that we've seen several brands increase their prices over the last few years. Even some of my favorites like Paula's Choice. You've probably heard me complain about this over the last few videos about them increasing their prices. But let's be honest here. I think everyone has had to increase their prices. I think if you run a household, you know how much more expensive things are. But there's also some luxury brands and big corporations that I believe don't really need to increase their prices. Listen, I'm an affiliate with Allies of Skin, and it might be gauche for me to say this as an affiliate, but my eyebrows rose pretty sharply when I saw their intentions to increase prices. And that was just kind of like, really? So I don't know. However, I do think that this comment is super insulting to the smaller businesses and the indie skincare brands. I think of some of my favorites like Stratia and Regimen Lab, who I know probably don't have the financial wiggle room or the financial privilege to not raise their prices. I think that if anyone were to raise their prices, I would be totally okay with like some of the smaller brands doing it. And for valid reasons. I think this comment is kind of a slap in the face to those brands. But Good Molecules continues on. They say, we're not planning to raise prices in 2023. This will defeat our goal to help as many people around the world see a difference in their skin as possible. Now, I find this to be extremely respectable. Consumers are struggling, okay? Very much. Like, we're in and out of recession. People can't even save more than $1,000 for emergencies. And typically, I imagine that when a family goes through their budget cuts, beauty products might tend to be one of those first things to go. And so it's very a relief to a lot of people, I'm sure, to know that their beauty products are not going to increase in price, that they can still, that's one thing that they can depend on in such an unsure time in their lives. And I applaud Good Molecules for this on behalf of their customers, because it's a big net win for them. And also, I think it's interesting too, because they can kind of entice other customers to come to them, knowing that those prices are going to be stable for the next year. They say, instead, we're negotiating lower costs from suppliers and cutting our ad budget. We know repeat business and referrals from satisfied customers are the best way to grow. Now, this part is what I find interesting and worth investigating a bit more. While I get the part about cutting their ad budget, there's no guarantee that they're going to achieve successful negotiations with lower prices for their supplies. So what if they don't succeed?
So,
no, I'm saying
what now?
I mean, it's not.
Then what? Furthermore, I spoke to one of my online best friends, Allison. Please go follow her Instagram. She's such an underrated creator, and I don't know why she has not blown up yet. For those that don't know, Allison formulates her own skincare products. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to cosmetic chemistry, and she has a lot of experience with what we're talking about today because she buys her own ingredients. So I do have permission to use these screenshots, just so you know. By the way, for those that give me tips in my DMs, either on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever social media, you can always feel comfortable knowing that I will never share those private messages. I know that I'm kind of like a tea commentary channel, but I do take privacy very, very important here, because I would not want anyone to take my private words and use them for content or any other nefarious purposes. So I do have permission to share these texts. So I'm going to read some of them here. She had some general questions about how they're able to keep their price point so low in the midst of a time where even she has seen a sharp increase in some ingredient prices. So Allison says, GM uses very basic packaging and labeling, and I would guess they are getting ingredients based on price rather than quality, and likely not consistently from the same manufacturer because of this. They probably ask for bids and go with the lowest price. I found that to be very interesting. She goes on to say, it's a net win for lower prices, but I'm curious about product purity. Even high quality ingredients are often 99% pure. So are they using 95% pure, for example, to keep costs down? We will never know. And you know, she brings some valid questions to the table. I think that a lot of people are looking at this as like a really net win for most people. However, people have questions like, how are they able to sustain such low prices even when brands like The Ordinary have had to increase some of their prices? So it's interesting. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the public reaction. Spoiler alert, it's been glaringly positive. Someone repeated what they said in the Instagram post by saying, Price increases go to expensive offices, advertising, influencer trips, and someone said, I'm thinking of buying from them for the first time ever just because of the line. Now, like I said before, I think that's a little bit of a double-sided coin. Like, are they talking about big brands or they're talking about small brands? They're not very specific. Someone else left a lengthy comment saying, that comment alone makes me go, yep, Good Molecules is getting my money. As someone who works in supply chain management, that comment is 100% on point, and they're taking the correct route by trying to improve their supply chain versus squeeze their customers for more money. The transparency there is refreshing. And the last comment we'll read is, I don't use this brand, but it's refreshing to see someone strutting about the fact that at least they won't be trying to squeeze even more money out of their customers. When I see a post or email from a big company complaining about rising costs that they then intend to pass on to the people who support their business, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth. So those are some of the comments that Good Molecules are getting. I think it's been overwhelmingly positive. I think in terms of marketing, this is utterly genius. With this move, they've very succinctly differentiated themselves from their competition. A lot of their competitors have already increased prices and or plan to increase prices in 2023. And so this really does make Good Molecules a very unique brand in the midst of a time where almost every brand is increasing their prices. Now, this is really great for their current consumers because they are going to be very happy to know that their prices are not going to increase. And this is also going to be very enticing to new customers. So I think that overall, this is a great move in marketing wise for Good Molecules. Ethically, I think that their messaging is really insulting to smaller businesses and smaller companies and indie brands. Very insulting. However, I think that what they're saying is true of some of the larger companies, some of the larger brands. I think it is true that they don't really need to raise their price. They just want to increase their profit margin that's already pretty huge. So I'm left feeling a little bit like a net neutral almost. Like it's insulting on one hand and it's pretty right on the mark on the other hand. So it depends on who their target is. But of course, Good Molecules doesn't say who the target is. Everyone's a competitor in their book. So, that's a little bit unfortunate. But there's still a lot we don't know. Again, as someone that has been in the business for a long time, I understand supply chain. I have so many questions. Like, it's hard to believe that the increased costs that I know they're going to incur isn't going to be passed on to the consumer somehow. And those costs have to be taken from somewhere. Is it product quality? That's not a good thing, but that's oftentimes what happens. Is it going to be employee compensation? Of course, that's something we don't really hear about, but is someone not going to get a raise that they deserve because they're not increasing their prices? When inflation rises, one thing to combat inflation is for employees to, increase their salaries, increase their income. And so I wonder about that. And then how long can this be sustainable for Good Molecules if negotiations don't go as planned? Those are the questions I have, and that's still to be seen in 2023 and beyond. But let me know your comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you don't like this video, your favorite skincare brands are going to increase in price, okay? Have a good one. Bye.